beautiful still morning. What an incredible morning at one of my favourite woods in the Lake District. It's a woodland that Mally introduced me to a couple of months back, my good pal Mally. But I'm here on a collaboration today, very excited about a collaboration I'm doing with Paul Thomson. Oh, can't get over this. Now what I thought I would do is talk you guys through how I go about trying my best to find compositions in the woods. The second half of the video there'll be a slight theme of bluebells, but in the first half it's just about normal woodland photography. On top of that, the conditions were anything but brilliant. So in theory, if I could talk you through problem solving or how to find compositions in the woods when the conditions aren't favourable, then that can only be a positive thing moving forward for when the conditions really are conducive. So for me to talk you through that process, I need to step back a week. That's better. It's raining again. What's the chances, eh? Hi guys, and welcome to this week's video. I am in this, and it has to be said, this incredible location in the Lake District. That skinny tree. If you stand next to a skinny tree, it makes you look fat. Don't you dare even go there, leave it. As a bit of an added bonus to this video, I'm doing a collaboration, something I'll introduce you to later on in this video. Somebody who I'm very excited about meeting. Somebody who's appeared in Mr. Heaton's videos and who often vlogs with Adam Gibbs. I'm a great fan of their channels, so if he's good enough for them, he's good enough for me. Having said that though, he didn't volunteer himself here. I pretty much had to blackmail him, but that's me, I don't care. Very excited about introducing you guys to him if you've never come across his channel before. More on that as we get going. My good pal Mally introduced me to this particular woodland some time ago, but I'm in a part of the woodland that I've never seen before. No point repeating what you've done in the past. Plus it's no longer a challenge. So I thought I'd bring my new Bezzy up, my new Bezzy mate, just to see what he makes of the place, and more importantly what I make of the place as well. First of all, let's spin you guys around and let you guys see exactly what I'm looking at right now. Incredible set of trees. We'll talk about the conditions in a bit. Incredible set of trees and beautiful rocks, beautiful hillside, a nice lake in the background. The light's kicking off these trees so well. Beautiful. It's windy and also it's raining. So there's lots of elements there that's going to hinder our compositions and what we determine is good and what we determine isn't good. But I'm not going to let that stop me. That, as far as I'm concerned, just becomes part of the challenge. Right, now I've had a good look around and I want to bring you to this point up here, because I want this to be my first challenge. And I'm going to talk you through the challenges of trying to take this picture. Look at this lone birch tree sticking out of the rock here. I think it's incredible. Under this lighting, the green mosses, if anything, look oversaturated. They look incredible. But I think that tree there, I think it's brilliant. There has to be a composition here. I mean, that lone tree jutting out from that moss-laden rocky wall just looks immense. Now the first challenge is to try and isolate that tree, and also to try and avoid taking a picture of that tree showing off the sky. I'll show you what I mean. If I wander around here, now as I start to wander around, the background, as you could see, starts to get quite busy. It looks fantastic, but now another problem is that the tree is now starting to jut into the sky. And from this perspective, I can't get high enough to bring that tree down into the ground. And that's a real shame. Now I could go lower down, like down here for instance, just to show the tree off in the sky and make the tree a lot more dominant. So there's nothing wrong with doing that. But of course, what we tend to do as woodland photographers is try our damnedest to avoid the sky. So this is quite a challenge. Let me just go over the other side and take a look and see what that's like. I still can't remove that tree away from the sky. If I come back here, right now I can elevate myself here. Now you can see the difference. I've managed to bring that tree down away from the sky. So there is a composition there. That wall still looks nice. I don't think the colours are as poppy from here as they were from the other side, but the composition as a general feel works really nice for me. Looking at something like that, so placing that lone tree on the bottom left hand side, and I think that would work as a composition. So now the challenge is how to isolate that tree, how to make that single tree stand out from the clutter in the background. Well, of course, that's where the conditions are greatly against me today. For instance, if there was a bit of cloud coming through, if there was a bit of mist rolling in the background, then without stating the obvious, straight away I've eradicated the whole background. This scene would look completely different. But today I haven't got that luxury. So the only way I can overcome that is possibly to shoot this with a shallow depth of field, focusing on that tree and blurring some of the background out. That would work. And then of course I could work a bit of magic in post-production, not adding mist. I never do that, never add anything to my images. But as you know, sometimes when you post-process your woodland photography, you can add softness to the whole scene, but make the single tree, the single subject pop. So in my mindset, this is definitely still worthwhile photographing. Uncomfortable with a square crop, but a square crop will definitely work in this instance, and then work my magic in post-production. The tree's moving quite a bit, but I could use that to my advantage. I can either speed up my shutter speed to freeze the tree so there's no movement at all, or of course I could maybe apply a 6-stop filter and lengthen my shutter speed and see what that image looks like when the tree is waving back at me. But in this instance, I would always do both and make my decision in the cold light of day. But I do like this scene. This scene is incredible. Really, really nice. So, good challenge today. This is only location or tree or subject number 1. Do you know what? When I come out on my photo shoots, this moment right now is the most exciting part of the day. Not capturing the images. It's like your first day of your holiday, getting your tripod out, getting your camera on your tripod for the first time, because that means now I've got a whole day of shooting ahead of me, and that still excites me. I think if I lost that excitement, I'd probably stop being a photographer, because I genuinely, and I'm sure you guys do as well, I genuinely enjoy taking pictures, even if I know right now this is a huge challenge to make this interesting and to make you guys think, oh my god, that's incredible. It's a huge challenge, but you just got to relish challenges like this, because it'll improve you as a photographer. Before I throw you guys in camera to talk you through my composition, the one tip that I always tell people while you're out and about with your camera, and it's such an important tip as far as I'm concerned, is try and find compositions with your camera and not with your eye. So train your eye to see what the camera sees and not the other way around. When eventually you understand what the camera sees, you will then start going out and seeing what the camera sees with your own eye. What I'm talking about is, when I'm looking at this scene now, the peripheral vision of a human eye is around about 35, maybe 50 mil. So I can't help but see the whole scene. But when you look through your viewfinder or on the live view and you start zooming in, especially with my favorite lens when I shoot in woodlands, which is a 70 to 200 mil, then you start to see compositions more clearly. They jump out. If you've never done that before, try it. Go to a place where you think, I'm sure there must be something here, but I can't quite see it. Throw a longer lens on your camera, use your viewfinder or the live screen, zoom in, zoom out, and have a look around, but do it through the camera. I can almost guarantee you that compositions will naturally present themselves that you wouldn't ordinarily have seen. Another small tip for you, set your white balance to cloudy while you're out and about shooting woodland. Now I know you change your white balance in post-production. If you shoot in RAW, I know and understand that, but if you shoot in auto white balance, the pictures never look as good when you review them on your screen. If you change them to cloudy, then your camera will pretty much capture the same colors, or they'll look like the same colors in screen that you're actually seeing. So it just gives you a bit more confidence when you're out and about taking pictures. Right, so I'm using my 24 to 120 mil lens at the moment, and that's, I think, good enough to zoom in and create a square crop on that tree. But what I'm going to do is throw you guys in camera, so again you could see what I'm looking at, so I could talk you through my composition. It's a little bit bright at the moment, ignore that sky. So what we're talking about is this tree here. So let's have a bit of a play and try and get this tree in focus and get it all lined up. So I'm looking at something, I want this wall to be in, because I think the wall is part of the attraction. All of this around here, I think that needs to be kept in. Now, in terms of a balance, I also need to give consideration to the top of the tree. It needs room to breathe. And so I'm more comfortable around about there. Now, the only problem is I've got a bit of that sky in, which I didn't want. Now I've got a couple of choices here. Now obviously I'll bring the light down in that sky. It's not going to look overexposed like it is in this video, but a couple of choices I've got now is I could clip that out in post-production. I could just select, you know, the area of the trees and maybe stretch them, or maybe do a bit of cloning around this area here, or of course I could just leave it in and embrace it. But this is where the conditions come in, because if it was mist in the background, that probably wouldn't be an issue. But it is a bit of a challenge, this. Now, a couple of things I could do here, because I quite like the tree to my right hand side. So what I could actually do, let's come out a bit more, because what I do like is I like that, but imagine that with quite a tight letterbox crop. I think if you can imagine a tight letterbox crop on there, then I think the wall is beautiful here with that tree there, and of course the walls here are really nice. Could shoot this with a shallow depth of field, focus on that tree there, kind of blur out the background. That's my thought process at this present moment in time, and I quite like that. I would of course bring that sky down. It's a shame the sky's in, but my thought process is now is if the sky is in, I've got to put enough of the sky in. I don't just want it peeping in, but maybe my letterbox crop would eradicate the sky altogether. But to be on the safe side, what I'm going to do also is just come back a bit more and take a bigger picture and fill in the sky up with a third of the frame, so then it won't look out of place. It'll look as if it's purposely placed there. So I'm giving myself options, but I do honestly believe that that is a fairly decent composition for number one. And like I always say, an award winner it definitely isn't, but a quite nice picture it definitely is. Wow, this looks very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Now, again, if I show you what it's like to look through my viewfinder, I'm doing this on my iPhone, by the way, but straight away, look how cool that looks down there. I mean, I've got a shot there without doing anything, really. That's a lovely picture. I mean, look at the light kicking off those branches down there. I could definitely do something with that. I mean, look at that as an overall picture. That is incredible. Let me throw you guys in camera so you can see this properly. Oh, I'm excited about this. I am very excited about this. So I'm at 35 mil there, so that's pretty much what I could see with the human eye. But now let's zoom in and let's have a look around this scene. So I like the overall feel of something like that. I think that is so nice. So nice. So basically we've got this tree, the main dominant tree, sat on the third, got the branch coming up here creating a natural frame. We've got the V-shaped tree on the left hand side, which makes for a left hand frame. Tree on the right hand side, there's lots of higgledy-piggledy going on. We've not got the sky there at all. I think if we focus on that nearest tree and maybe opt for, let's make you guys a little bit brighter. If we focus on that tree, then maybe make it a shallow depth of field, again, that would be quite nice. I just like that as an overall feel. I might zoom down just to include a bit more of that floor, because the floor looks really nice. And again, if I think that this is so cool now, can you imagine what this would look like under better conditions more conducive to woodland photography? But now if I zoom in, I can't quite zoom in far enough, but I love this area down here. So I can either go a bit closer to it and create a square crop of the light kicking off those branches down there, which I think when you darken the image will look really nice. Can you see the light kicking off the top of those branches starting to pop now? Again, you've got to imagine with us coming in right tight there, really, really close. So straight away, I've got 3 compositions that I'm very happy with. I'm pretty much done here now. I'm happy with that. But more importantly than that, my guest is appearing just by magic, as if this whole thing was staged. It wasn't staged at all, was it?
How's it going?
Paul Thomson.
How are you doing?
I'm pausing now to give them a chance to react, because I've built you up so much. I'm just giving them a chance to react by saying, oh, him. Oh, who's he? Who's he? Right, so like I said earlier, this is Paul Thomson, somebody I've been following for a long time, and somebody who I managed to get to speak to down at the NEC. I became like a predator. I was all over him. Did I buy you coffee? No.
No.
Oh, I don't like you that much.
No,
I didn't buy you coffee.
No.
Anyway, Paul, I've just finished here.
Right.
So you've not seen this. I think this is brilliant. Looks a bit like Wishman's Wood from down south. I've been there a couple of times. I think it's really nice. Again, more conducive. If it's foggy and misty, it's not. But I've captured a couple of pictures from here. What about giving you a bit of a challenge just to see what you make of it? Not a competition, but I'm just interested as a fellow pro to see what you make of this. I'm not going to influence you in any way, but of course I'm interested to find out what you're shooting with and all the rest of it. So
no worries at all.
Fancy it?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not going to give you an interview, but I can guarantee I will start talking to you while you're taking pictures.
That's no problem at all. Yeah.
You could do what you normally do and ignore me.
Well, yeah, it doesn't work though. You could keep coming back for more.
So you like woodland photography?
Yeah.
Just before we have a look and see what you've made of this, because we genuinely haven't spoken, have we? I've not shown you my pictures on the back of my camera.
Not seen
I
them.
haven't mentioned anything. So,
no.
And this is genuine.
Yeah.
It is absolutely 100% genuine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Just before I ask you to talk me through briefly what you've seen.
Yeah.
Could I put you on the spot now? Mm-hmm. Give me a woodland photography tip. If you were to come up with a #1 woodland photography tip for people who maybe struggle with woodland photography, what would you tell them?
Separation is key every time. So when you're walking around a woodland, it's
you're going to leave your wife?
Yeah. So basically, when you're in the woodland, it's all very confusing. Obviously, you've got everything going on everywhere.
Sure.
But the way to simplify that is to move around if you found a composition that works, is to move left, right, up and down, whatever it takes to make sure that you've got gaps in between the trees and you can separate it all out. Because there's nothing worse than overlapping trees, because that starts to create distractions in the image. And the other thing, bonus tip,
Okay.
is to go to a place like you've got here, where you've got an open patch of light, because that will give you more light and a better depth in the image as well, because you've got an open patch which is going to let that light in, and you tend to either get, obviously you've got front light here because the light's behind us, so it's front light in the subject at the minute.
Yeah.
But it also works if you can get light coming from behind. It's just looking for these open patches of light so you can kind of make more of the image and give it more depth and feel about it.
Cool.
Really.
But it's interesting what you said earlier with regards to the separation, because in the first part of this video, my first composition, I found an incredible, I think it's a really incredible composition, but I struggled to create that separation.
Yeah.
So I had to move around in a 360-degree angle to try and find a way of separating the tree, try and make it stand out.
Yeah.
And I explained exactly that process and my thought process.
Yeah.
Earlier on, obviously, in this video, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and exactly when you've got the right conditions, you don't need that so much, because obviously if it was misty or foggy, you're going to get that separation anyway, and you're not going to see those distractions. But when you've got nothing, you have to be especially careful in making sure you've got that separation.
Sure. So just to follow up on what Paul was saying there as well, is you heard Paul mention then about it, under different conditions. Well, we haven't got those different conditions today. We got terrible conditions, but that should not stop you from coming out and just having some fun, because not every landscape picture you'll take will be perfect. How many times you keep going back to the same location until eventually you get that sunrise, or you get that sunset, or you get that tide height perfect. So don't be afraid. Don't just sit back and not bother going out taking woodland images just because the conditions aren't conducive to woodland photography. I think that's a fair thing to say, isn't it?
Yeah,
otherwise you're just going to limit yourself to a couple of days a year, and then chances are on a foggy morning you've either missed the fog or you're working.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, don't be afraid of it. Don't expect perfect conditions every time. Not every picture you take will be an award winner. It won't. What have you found?
Well, so basically what I've got, using that letterbox format that I was telling you about before, is basically that main tree, because that main tree is kind of the subject to me, this front one, which is this one here.
Yeah.
And the branches coming up, I've kind of positioned so that you've got that left branch there going up into the top left corner of the frame.
Perfect.
And then on the right here, obviously I've got that last tree, which is on that side before you hit that rhododendron, which is further down there. I've tried to kind of eliminate that rhodie out the equation altogether, because obviously you're going to have that lump of a bush right in one corner. So I've more or less centralised that tree in the middle of the frame, slightly off to the left, but more or less central. And just using the available light that we've got to kind of illuminate these branches here. I've tried two things. I tried a black mist filter on it just to kind of see what it would look like with a little bit more atmosphere back there. So I'll take one shot with it on, one shot without it, and then I can blend parts in if I wanted to.
Okay, so just explain what you mean by that mist.
So the black mist is basically it's black speckled appearance on a filter, and that just kind of adds a bit of haze to the image.
Okay.
And takes a bit of the contrast out of it, so it looks as though there's more atmosphere in the shot than there actually is.
It kind of softens it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you then take two pictures and then the sharper one just pull out the elements that you want to pull out?
Yeah, and then I'll
create
just
two
paint
separate
it
layers.
in. Yeah, just two separate layers and then just paint in what I want.
Love that idea. Now, I've spent the past half an hour here, but I have not taken that picture, which is really good, because it's good to see that we've seen things differently.
Yeah, for sure.
I've gone down a symmetrical route, but my eyes concentrated so much on the trees in the background, so I've tried to move everything around to get the trees in the background as the main focal point.
Yeah.
And therefore, I've not even seen that.
Yeah.
Now you've turned up, and you've taken a completely different image.
Yeah, well, that's it, and
that is so cool. That's so cool.
because it's just a small area, and everybody sees things differently, of course. And I always default to using this format for woodland because it tends to. Why I use it is because a lot of the time in woodland we want to get rid of the sky.
Sure.
So using that letterbox format, gone.
I love it too.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it too. I've been talking about shooting letterbox earlier on, so at least we've got that in common. But that is I must admit, is a fantastic picture. And once again, you know, that could potentially be an award winner if the conditions were more conducive. So straight away, you're marking this now. You're taking this picture, you're marking it down, and you're purposely coming back to try and better that image. Waiting for Paul to do an ending with him. Oh, he's a big bloody Jesse. Can you say that nowadays? I have no idea what he's doing. Probably putting his makeup on.
Huh?
Hey.
How's it going?
Funny thing is, we've just done we've just done an ending, haven't we, to your video.
Yeah.
And we said, let's not make this the same.
Well,
so all we've done really is just swap places. It's going to be exactly the same.
Never mind. At least it's kind of different, eh?
yeah. Can I use the same jokes? No, because to be fair, they weren't funny the first time, were they? Right, guys. Thank you very much indeed, as always, for watching the channel, and hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Hopefully you've liked not only my insight, but a fellow pro's insight as well. But do me a favour, if you've never come across Paul before, excellent guy, does workshops and all the rest of it. Like I say, a fellow pro, fantastic YouTuber. So do me a favour, go check his channel out. And
thanks for that, mate.
We've had a good day, haven't we?
Really good day. It was really good fun, yeah. Really good
and
fun.
Honestly, what I've loved about today, and I kind of said this on Paul's channel as well, so switch off before you get to the end. But what I loved about today is nothing was right for today in terms of conditions. Nothing was conducive to making good woodland images. And yet I feel I've come away with some really nice woodland images, especially after lunch when we went and photographed some bluebells, although the bluebells wasn't the topic of today's video. But
yeah. But
you can't ignore them, can you? When
No.
you're in the woodlands and there's, you know, when they're everywhere.
Yeah, and a new area as well, somewhere neither of us have seen. So.
Yeah. So I relished the challenge. I relished the compositional side of my teachings, and then more importantly, then when I introduced Paul to an area where I just shot and I've spoken to you guys about, I found it really interesting how Paul, standing pretty much on the same square meter of grass, found a completely different composition.
Yeah.
I do. That means there's room for me to learn still. It's hopefully room for Paul to learn as well, because he didn't see what I saw. Or anyway, it didn't really matter. The fact is, it's just brilliant. I absolutely love stuff like that. I do.
Yeah. It was good fun, really good fun, and good to kind of bounce off each other that way as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you've got to go out with. It's not a competition, but it's healthy if it is. If you go out with somebody, in the back of your mind, you're always thinking, I hope he doesn't do better than me. So, do me a favour, guys.
Ooh.
Oh, look at that! Could be another one.
Yeah.
Where's my phone?
Amazing. Oh, it's gone quiet.
The sound of freedom.
Yeah. Union Jack on the bottom of it.
Oh! Buzzing. I have to go down the Mac Loop now next week. I've got to go down to the Mac Loop next week. In actual fact, I'm going down to the Mac Loop next week, and I'm coming back up here with Paul. So just finishing off, once again, where was I? I'll leave a link to Paul's channel at the end of this video. Click on it, show him a bit of love, and if you like what you see, then give him a thumbs up and subscribe and all the rest of it. So, as far as I'm concerned, thank you very much indeed. Do me a favour though, as always, give that like button a bit of a nudge, and if you're new here and you want to find your way back, then help support the channel even further by subscribing.
Thanks very much.
Cheers, Paul.
Take care.
It's been an awesome day.
See you again.
Do we kiss now or what?